A behaviorist, a cognitivist, and a constructivist were teaching new bartenders how to make a martini. The cognitivist was concerned about the previous experience of their customer, and the behaviorist was focused on the process, and the constructivist simply refused to show anyone because the students were supposed to figure it out. I've been wanting to tell that joke for years, so... As a designer, you will be putting theory into practice. One thing that I have found is that when you start from a strong theoretical framework, your chances for success are exponentially higher. I was personally brought up following Bob Mager, whose book we'll be reading as well. Everything we will discuss here is based on our reading of the 0r3ywaGjwv24 article 2013. Let's jump in. The article describes us as being the bridge between research and practice. Our job is to translate theories into practices that will actually work. The reason why I like Bob Mager is because one of his famous conversations, he stated that the best course he ever saw was a locksmith's course he ordered from the back of a comic book. The reason it was good is that the first module they sent in the mail was titled How to Pick a Lock. The next chapter, it got deeper into the mechanisms, and then the next module was something exciting again. The logic there ties into the theory of andragogy. Learning must be meaningful and relevant. That story, paraphrased by my mentor, was my introduction to making theory real. What it did for me was bring theory into context that it is something that I can actually use. The 0r3ywaGjwv24 article talks about two skills, analyzing the problem and bridging the gap with research and theory. This makes sense because in order to give a good diagnosis, we have to first analyze and understand the issue. There are as many ways to do this as there are definitions of learning. The most important thing that I have found from a practical perspective is to have a defined approach to the analysis. The defined approach must be relevant to the learning that is required. I'll share my analysis process that I use with ISD if anyone would like to see it. Once the analysis is complete, then the theories come into play. The theories give us a proven approach to solving the problem. As 0r3ywaGjwv24 state, this would be a simple process if learning was simple. Learning is a complex psychological process that has many variables. The article talks about three theories and raises a question to designers if it is better to focus on one or pull from all three. Here's my opinion on that. To meet the diverse needs of our learners, it is important to pull from multiple theories so we can meet the needs of more learners. This is my opinion, so feel free to disagree or agree. Disagreement is actually one of the primary ways our field grows. Learning for our definition will comply with the article. This was also the first definition I learned. Schul, as interpreted by Schunk 1991, incorporates these main ideas. Learning is an enduring change in behavior or in the capacity to behave in a given fashion which results from practice or other forms of experience. Feel free to also think of learning in terms of performance. The behaviorism theory is grounded in actions that can be seen and measured. We see this quite a bit in manufacturing and the industries that produce different products. From this perspective, terminal objectives and enabling objectives are very important because the sequencing of the process is seen as very important. When designing from a behavior perspective, you focus on the environment and when it is appropriate to move from one point to another. This is seen quite often when training to build products and make decisions on the product. Proving competency is also highly valued. For cognitivism, the focus here is on mental structures and knowledge acquisition. Cognitivism moves away from behaviorism because it is not really concerned with what the learner is doing. It is more concerned with the way information is received, organized, stored, and retrieved by the mind. Needless to say, memory and how the mind stores information is a big focus of this theory. Have you ever heard of cognitive load? Could this be a part of cognitivism? Cognitive load refers to how much effort the working memory is putting out to learn or recall things. If you're designing from this perspective, there are two key points to keep in mind. Make learning meaningful and value the learner's experience by building on their current schema. The focus is on the learner as opposed to what the learner is supposed to do. Constructivism equates learning with creating meaning from experience. The article discusses an apprenticeship type of experience as a common way of seeing constructivism at work. This is a great example. We see apprenticeships in labor, medical, business, and law. I once led an apprenticeship program for people learning to build composite parts, manufacture and build composite parts. The neat part about that was not one theory dominated, but they all worked together. The classes that we built were clearly based on behaviorism, and they had clearly defined standards for successful completion. The standards required a product to be built to various stages. What the learner did was actually judged. The troubleshooting pieces were based on cognitivism because we built on their previous experiences. The learners had to build on their previous knowledge from the classes and define why errors may occur. The on-the-job training was constructivism, and it worked very well also. There were 3 separate parts to the apprenticeship program, and each piece was clearly designed from different perspectives. The commonalities of the perspectives, along with a clear analysis of the issue that led to the apprenticeship development, is what led to its success.